Guys, I'm teaming up with my good friend, retired Navy SEAL Jocko for something real special. Jocko started Jocko Fuel when he found out the supplements he was buying for himself and his family were filled with heavy metals and ingredients he was unaware of. He wanted a line of supplements and consumables that had all of the good, effective ingredients and none of the bad. So we made it happen. I got set up with all of the key products, and we want to do the same for you. Jocko Go energy drinks for clean, sustainable energy. Jocko Milk Protein for 30 grams of delicious grass-fed protein, plus a full line of supplements to support mood, focus, hydration, joints, and more. Jocko Fuel supplements are scientifically formulated and made with ingredients that are clinically tested. They are better for you options with no artificial flavors or sweeteners, no added sugar, and no gray area ingredients or banned substances. It's clean fuel with health compromise. And right now, you can get 20% off when you use code Chael at jockofuel.com. Or if it's easier, just click on the link below. Strickland loses his title to Duplessis, and that thing was red hot. Those pay-per-view numbers did great. The build-up for that did great. Little Chael over here with my YouTube page talking about Strickland versus Duplessis did great numbers. Speaking of numbers, it was believed that the winner of that contest was going to draw into Israel Adesanya at UFC 300. Turns out those rumors were true. That plan was in place, and that was the direction that we were looking. So, before Duplessis versus Adesanya could be announced, I came and asked you guys, would you rather see Duplessis versus Strickland move forward, main event at 300? Or would you rather see a rematch with Sean Strickland and Duplessis? And the numbers weren't even close. It was overwhelming that you wanted the rematch. Strickland and Duplessis. Now, the time frame of scramble mode, of certain fights being announced, one big announcement still looming, which is the main event for 300. As all of those things started to come, and you guys, your preferences threw a new wrench, I didn't know if there'd be time. I didn't know if there would realistically be time to halt the actions of the second floor of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, where the War Room exists, and allow Sean Strickland to get back in. Then ultimately, without being armed with that piece of information, it wouldn't have mattered because it was Duplessis who couldn't be ready by the 300 date. We're now told that Strickland, I apologize, that Adesanya agreed and said yes, but it was Duplessis' side said, hey, we need a little bit more time. So in that regard, it wouldn't matter if we inserted Sean or not. But now that I have your attention and now that we're talking about it, there sure are a lot of ways to play that game, right? I mean, it did feel like the house was on fire to some regard. We're getting all sorts of information. We knew we didn't have a main event. We knew that Izzy versus Strickland was huge news. We knew that Izzy versus Duplessis, I mean, the heat that those two had formed for the 11 days that they had it was melting airwaves. We knew that there was a court case done on an injunction for expedience. And Izzy stated in the courtroom so that I can travel. So we knew that all these things were coming and that there was an importance to hurry. But now that we're here, who should be the number one contender? I mean, I don't know how we would go from everybody's healthy, everybody's the same, right? No news. Same on everything. We've got Duplessis, we've got Adesanya. That's the fight that we want to do. Here was the date we want to do it. But even if we can't do the date, doesn't it appear that we still have Adesanya and we still have Duplessis? Doesn't that seem accurate? Because if it is accurate, what do we do with Sean? And moreover, what do we do with Chimaev? I watched Chimaev fight Kamaru Usman. I heard him be promised a title shot with victory. Chimaev got the victory. There was no title shot, but that was okay, right? That was okay because there was an injured hand that couldn't meet a date. But then it trickles through, going back to 300, that Chimaev was in fact offered that title shot that he earned. It was at a weight class that he had vacated. So how do we interpret that? If Chimaev is to raise his hand and say, yes, I want it, I couldn't do it on that date, but I do want it, is Chimaev now the number one contender at 170 pounds? Or is his number one contendership good at 185? Or the fact that he was offered a title shot and turned it down for whatever reason, does that mean that deal, we're cool in the gang and we move on? Because while you're looking in all those directions, and while it looks like we've got a lot of loose ends, I'm only attempting right now to figure out one thing. What should Sean Strickland do next? That's all I want to know. Sean Strickland appears to be a very versatile player. He also appears to be a star, not just a popular guy. Stone Cold Steve Austin got asked if you could take two guys that are currently in the UFC right now and bring them over to the WWE purely on making money, two guys that are monetizable, whose skills they've got, you bring them over to the World Wrestling Entertainment, and you can make money with them, who would it be? He said Colby Covington. He said Sean Strickland. He didn't pause. That was Stone Cold Steve Austin. He did not pause. So Strickland tapped into something, a market that we didn't even know existed. It turns out that he's a star. But the last time I see Strickland almost in a fight is with some guy named Kelly. He's a rapper named Kelly. And then I read these headlines. I'm coming back from Saudi Arabia, right? I was out at the Bellator versus PFL. I'm reading headlines. I'm sitting there in my little space on my airplane in my cabin there, reading about a boxing match that is not signed and isn't ever going to be signed, but there's still talk about, which is Sean Strickland, Jake Paul. I'm thinking, how did we get here? How did we get here, and how did our eyes come so far off the ball? The match that the people wanted to see, this is my people. I have the biggest voice. I have the most subscribers, right? Like, this isn't a Chael shine me up flex moment. It's public. I'm not only audited, I'm publicly audited, where you guys can just go and look. You guys, my guys, as the biggest guys in the space, say that you want to see Strickland versus Du Plessis. Well, that's great, because Du Plessis doesn't have an opponent yet. Du Plessis was offered Adesanya, but he doesn't have an opponent yet. He doesn't have Adesanya. And when I asked you guys, this was 3 weeks ago, and things were a little hotter. And as Errol Hawani likes to say, there's something known as a short-term bias and a short-term memory in the sport of mixed martial arts. So maybe I asked you guys the question too close to Strickland and Du Plessis. Maybe that was my problem. So I put some time between it. I've told you the pieces. I've let you know Chimaev's hand is healed. I've let you know Adesanya is in fact coming back. You're not going to have to wait till kickboxing in the year 2027. I've let you know. The Machine Gun Kelly and Jake Paul are more likely to be boxing each other than they are to be boxing Sean Strickland. The dance card is wide open, but the players remain the same. So I want to know right now. You told me, more than anything, for Sean Strickland, you wanted to see him in a rematch with Du Plessis. I'm asking you the exact same question now. 3 weeks later, but the exact same question. Who do you want to fight Du Plessis? It appears your options are down to Adesanya and Sean Strickland. Now, I just want you to tell me.